Afraid to speak English? Well, if you feel afraid to speak English and you have no idea what you need to do, watch this lesson because I want to give you an action plan so that you can change that. Because I imagine how frustrating it is when you need to speak English, but that feeling, that anxiety ends up stopping you from doing what you need. If you don't know me very well, hi, I'm Teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's always something new around here. But here we go, guys. Here on my channel, I help students at an intermediate level. And let me be honest right off the bat, you are not alone. Feeling afraid is human nature, but we gotta understand what kind of tools we can use to reduce that anxiety, that fear when it's time to speak English. Because believe it or not, that is one of the biggest challenges of English students at this level, at an intermediate level. So one thing that I can tell you is, yes, it's possible to overcome your fear when you have to, pass a job interview, when you need to make a presentation, when you're traveling abroad. But if right now nothing is working for you, I know this video will. First and foremost, you need to understand the concept of emotional fluency. Have you ever heard of that term, emotional fluency? And what is that supposed to mean? Well, you are an intermediate speaker. So by now you should have realized that simply is studying more lessons, more English, more exercises, more apps, more videos. Only that is not really making you feel more confident. It's not enough. And it's true, it's not enough. It is one part of the game. Of course, you have to study, but it's not enough. Because depending on your emotional state, depending on how you feel, you will block all the information you know. Has that ever happened to you? You caught yourself in a conversation and you knew the words, but because you were consumed with your fear, everything went blank. You didn't remember anything. Yes? Let me know in the comments. But you can change that. I know it seems hard, it seems impossible, but I am sure you can change that if you understand the next two elements that I'm going to explain in this lesson. The elements are self-image and self-talk. Before I share what I want you to do for the next 21 days, the recommendations that I'm going to give you over the next 21 days, we need to take a closer look at these two guys. Understanding how you see yourself, that's self-image. How do I see myself in the mirror? When you think about your fluency, when you think about your ability to speak English, how do you see yourself? Mirror, mirror on the wall. Do I see myself as someone who is capable? Do I see myself as someone who can do the job? Because when you look at yourself, you see something negative, when it's time to pass the job interview, you will share that energy unconsciously. So it's important to understand what you constantly feel about yourself connected to English, but also connected to yourself, okay? In your self-talk, what do you say? If I ask you again, what do you think about your English? Teacher, don't get me started. It's awful. That's why you should subscribe, by the way, because I help you go from awful to really good. So these things, they will impact your results. And there you could be studying. You could find yourself buying the next book, buying the next course, going abroad to study. But if these two guys don't work in your favor, you could have the best teacher in the world. You could go to Harvard like I did. Nothing is going to change because change starts in the mind. You need to change here before you change here. And only adding more lessons will not make that happen. Now, there was a study published by the University College London that said that the more vividly, the more realistically, the more vividly a person imagines something, the more likely the brain will believe it's real. Okay? So your brain has a difficult time understanding what is real, what is not. And the more attention, the more energy you give to something, the more the probability, okay, the more likely your brain will believe that is true. So if I ask yourself again, how do you see yourself? And then you add all those strong and negative emotions, what is going to happen? Your brain is going to be like, whoa, this is serious. I better believe her because she's feeling all these tense emotions. So it's true. And then there you go, studying, but nothing changing. So your brain has a hard time understanding that. So your thoughts, if you're constantly thinking of the worst, how do you think the world around you will go about? How do you think you're going to react when you actually have to use the language? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to wake up next morning and be like, oh, you're awesome. You go, girl. Well, it's nice. But I don't want you to lie. I don't want you to fake. We need to find balance between being real without sounding like an idiot. You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. And then you hate yourself. So we need to find that balance. That's what I want to propose here in this video. This is something that I do with my students in my academy. I'm always showing my students the importance of understanding emotional fluency. I give them exercises to work on the brain because I know how much your brain, your emotions can impact your results. So I talk about this based on my professional experience and life experience as well, of the power that your brain has when it comes to allowing you to use what you know. Now, that being said, are emotions enough? No. Okay, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Of course, you have to study. Of course, you need to do the proper exercises and follow the proper plan to be able to achieve results, especially fluency. That's what you want, right? I imagine that's what you wish for. So we need to have a combination of emotions and actions. And here right now, I don't know where you're from. You can let me know in the comments. But I imagine you may be studying alone. You may not have a partner. You may not be in my academy. You may not have a solid foundation in terms of knowing what to do. So here are some daily habits to boost your speaking. Because oftentimes when students are afraid to speak in the real world, it's because they lack preparation in their practice. So it's not only emotions. So you have the negative emotions, your self-image, your self-talk, yada, yada, yada. But we also have the actions. Well, you don't have any guidance. You don't practice your English speaking because you're alone. And these two guys together will paralyze you when it's time to speak. So we need to take a closer look at your actions. So here in summary, to sum up what you should do ideally, there are 5 points you need to consider. You need to follow a plan that makes you speak, even if you are alone. And I will talk about this. You need to learn from your mistakes. And I will show you how to learn from your mistakes, as someone who studies alone. Because I know, Priscilla, I don't have a teacher to correct me. Priscilla, I'm not in your academy. Priscilla, what do I do? I'll show you. 3, you need to set speaking goals for the week, because you will see that if you sit down, okay, I will practice my speaking, nothing is going to happen. You will find it extremely difficult to do that. So every time you sit down to study for the week, you need to think of a speaking goal. What do I want to talk about? By the end of the week, what will I have accomplished in terms of my speaking? What do I want to talk about confidently? I want to talk about my job. I want to talk about parties. I want to talk about gardening. What do I want to talk about? I want to be able to ask questions at parties when getting to know people. Speaking goal. 4, set listening goals. To make conversation, you need to understand many people feel afraid because they receive information they don't understand. They can't listen properly. As a result, their speaking freezes. So we need to work on listening as well. And finally, thinking in English. I have many videos here on my channel where I talk about thinking in English, exercising your brain, teaching your brain to think in English. Make sure to check this video. I have more than one, but I have one in particular. I will leave the recommendation somewhere here in the comments. I'll see what I can do. But exercising your brain to think in English will help you react faster when it's time to speak. Now, that being said, how do you identify your mistakes as someone who studies alone? My favorite apps here, guys, because as I said, I don't use all apps available on the internet, but I use strategic ones, okay? And I've been using Grammarly for 10 years of my life. It's really useful. And this year I started testing ChatGPT. I've been testing it a lot, and these are the two ones that I'm going to recommend in moderation, okay? Don't let the machine think for you. You are the one who needs to do all the thinking and creating. But let's say you have nobody to correct your English. Priscilla, I'm alone. What are you going to do? You will speak. You have to record yourself speaking, okay? Make short audio files, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, answering a question. Because if it's too long, it'll be difficult. I'll explain later. But there you go. You answer a question and then you record yourself. Then what are you going to do? Two options. You can either transcribe yourself, you will listen and type what you said, or you can find a website or an app that will do that for you, okay? In many cases, you have to pay for that. So I do it the old-fashioned way. I listen to myself and then remember, this is a speaking exercise. Then what are you going to do? You're gonna grab your transcript, you're gonna use Grammarly, you're going to paste your transcript, and Grammarly will give you a lot of feedback. Not perfectly, but it will. It'll be very good, but not perfect, okay? It'll give you recommendations, some corrections, and ChatGPT is the same. I will make another video here in the future to give you nice commands that you can use on ChatGPT, because the secret with ChatGPT is not only ask correct. No, you need to add a few more layers and comments and requests and explain, and then it'll give you really good comments and feedback. But in general, if you paste your answer, then you will get some corrections. They are not always perfect, but they are really good. And that way, you will notice some patterns, some mistakes you make when you are speaking. And this is essential if you want to become a better communicator, because the more you practice your English speaking, the more you're going to send a message to your brain that, hey, it's safe to speak. I can do it. I will do it. And when you work on your self-image, on your self-talk, you also boost your confidence. That's my intention with these two practices. Becoming aware of your emotions, understanding that, hey, how I see myself impacts my results. If I see myself as someone who can't do it, you will not do it, okay? Now, daily rituals to build self-image and to improve your learning process. We also need to consider that. So what do you do before you go to sleep? What do you do when you wake up in the morning? What do you do? Do you go on Instagram like crazy, reels? Or do you think negative things? Oh my God, I failed my English test again. Oh, my boss said I don't have a good English. Oh, what am I gonna do? What do you think about before you go to sleep? And what do you think about when you wake up? Now I have to go to work. My life is chaotic. Because you know how you prepare yourself for the day. Because this will impact your English results. Not only English, but everything you study, everything you learn, everything you need to do, okay? Now, another important thing about sleeping, our brain consolidates a lot of our memories in the sleep process. So everything you learn throughout the day, at work, in English, when you go to sleep, your brain starts working to consolidate that memory. So if you sleep poorly, you will not have a good consolidation process. Many people come here to me and say, I always forget things. I don't remember anything. How do you sleep? Do you have a good quality sleep? What do you say to yourself before going to sleep? What kind of information do you see before you go to sleep? Because that will impact your life, your brain, your emotions, your results. Okay, so pay attention to that. Learning, improving is much more than only studying lessons. And guys, before I continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, I want to dive into the 21-day action plan that I want to share with you, some recommendations. But if you're interested, I'm always posting videos here on my channel, and I would appreciate if you became part of this beautiful community. And I also have a study plan that will be amazing if you need guidance studying alone. But let's keep going. Priming for success. This is my recommendation every morning when you wake up, so that you can change your self-image, so that you can prepare yourself for success. Prepare yourself for a better day, for a better practice, for a better meeting, for a better job interview. It starts with your decisions when you wake up, okay? So what is prime? It's Tony Robbins' technique, and he has a video on his channel where he talks about this. But priming is a mental exercise. It's a mind, because fluency starts in the mind. And it involves these 5 elements that you can see here on the screen: gratitude, affirmations, visualization, and breathing. And then the anchor. Touching some part of your body to help you remind the emotion, making a movement to really make it physical, okay? But focusing on gratitude, affirmations, visualization, and breathing. These are techniques that you can use in the morning. If you can use only one, you can use 2, you can use 3, you can use all of them. But when you start the day, what do you want to do? What is your goal? Remind yourself of that. You start with gratitude. I'm so grateful that yesterday I learned a new expression and I was excited about it. I'm grateful. Oh, I'm grateful because I did this listening exercise and I did very well. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because my boss corrected my English. I made a mistake and he corrected me. I am grateful. Affirmations. I'm learning. I can learn. I have the power to learn. Today I'm a little better than yesterday. I will do my best to improve my English. Realistic. Not, oh, I'm the best. No. Be realistic with your affirmations. Each day I learn more. I allow myself to learn. Breathing. It's important to breathe. When you're worried, when you're stressed, you lack oxygen here. And if there's not enough oxygen because you're panicking, you will forget everything. So when you catch yourself being extremely nervous or anxious because you have to speak English, check your breathing. That's important. Now, what are you going to do for the next 21 days? It's all about awareness. So each day, okay, and of course I want you to continue, but I want you to monitor your thoughts. What do you think about when it comes to fluency, when it comes to English, when it comes to phrasal verbs? Describing your ability to speak English. What do you see? What do you feel? Change those negative thoughts and negative affirmations to more positive ones. Realistically speaking, if you say, oh, my vocabulary is bad, how about changing it? I'm always working on vocabulary because I want to explore new words. So I will learn more vocabulary to help me talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Stop focusing on not knowing. Focus on knowing. That's what I want you to change. Okay, for the next 21 days. So when you do your practice, what are the emotions that come? Monitor those. To eliminate your fear, to feel calmer and more prepared, you need to monitor your reactions when you're studying. Okay? Prime for success. Change the way you start your day. If you want to have a better outcome throughout the day, throughout the week, plan for success. Prime for success, not for failure. If you sit down to study already thinking, yeah, let me study because I suck, it's not going to change anything. So, oh, I'm going to study. I will do my best because I want to improve. I want to grow. I want that job and I'm going to do my best today. That's better than coming from, oh, I'm going to study because it's so difficult. I suck at it. Don't do that. Your brain is paying attention. Change your study plan for the next 21 days. Every time a new week starts, okay? And you will continue after these 21 days, okay, guys? I'm not just saying this, oh, just 21 days and magic will happen. No, it won't, okay? But change the way you study. Every time you start a new week, think of a new speaking challenge, a new speaking subject. And every time you sit down to study, your practice should revolve around that subject you picked for the week. Observe the moments in real life when you freeze. So you had a meeting and you froze. Take notes. Okay, I froze because of? What were the thoughts? What were the English problems you had? Oh, I didn't understand the word. I didn't know how to express this and that. And that should become something for you to study, to work on. So let's say I'm studying Italian and I started a new subject based on this. Okay, I follow my study plan recommendation. And I tried for the first time to describe my job experience, my resume in Italian. And for the first time, I didn't do a wonderful job. So for the entire week, I practiced and I studied vocabulary. I recorded myself speaking. I checked for mistakes. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And it's much better. Is it perfect? No. But it's much better. And this is a process that I want you to monitor and observe and keep practicing so that you improve your English and manage your fear, because it is an emotion. We all feel afraid. But the more you improve your awareness of your emotions and the way you study, the better you get. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share it with a friend. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye.